Hey, what's up guys? Coach Nate here. Today we pose the question, are long runs bad for your health? Now, before we start throwing shade, long runs serve a big purpose with running. It's been a staple in our diet for a long time, so it does something. So we're gonna talk about what that is, the pros of this thing, as well as some things that you need to be careful of if you start doing too many of them too quickly. Let's do it. Long before the days of Strava and GPS watches that really tracked everything, runners have been extending those miles at least one day a week. And they've been doing it to train for a race. They've been doing it to clear their brains in certain respects. But are these long runs really good for us? So we wanted to pose this question if they're healthy or not by also looking at the purpose of them, why we might do them, what the benefits are, as well as some of the drawbacks and maybe where we are going off the tracks a little bit in our long runs. That's what today's video is all about. So let's talk about the benefits first. Now, let's get into the benefits of these long runs. And it's good to remember that the long run is really relative to the event that you're training for. If you're training for shorter course races and maybe you're a newer athlete, maybe it's just a little bit further than you've gone before. Sometimes it could be a time-based run. If you're a competitive 5K runner, maybe it's upwards of just a 90-minute long run that you do. You're not too worried about the distance. And of course, if you are that half, that full marathoner, or that ultra runner, well, then you are progressively stair-stepping up those runs to get you ready to some fraction of the distance that you're going to tackle on race day. And over these events, a lot of things start to happen. One, your heart gets more efficient at pumping blood to your body. Your muscles get more efficient at taking that oxygen and using it to put to good work. And metabolically, your body becomes more efficient at burning those fatty acids so that you can have a longer sustained energy and you're not just constantly tapping into your glycogen stores and crashing as a result. So a lot of those things happen when we do these long runs. We also develop resilience and stamina, our ability to run well under fatigue. Mentally, we start to figure out, can we live in these longer extended positions and still breathe and still be in a good mood? Do we know what we want to eat during these long runs? Do we figure out, okay, I ate something that upset my stomach, I shouldn't eat that anymore, I need to find another product. We get to test and experiment, and in the process, we become a better runner for it. So that's some of the benefits, especially if I'm racing. Of course, if you're someone who isn't racing, it's just nice to go out there, unplug, clear the brain, get out in nature a little bit, and de-stress. But of course, if we do too many of these things, if we stair-step too quickly, if we do them at the wrong speeds, we do that on the wrong surfaces, there are some drawbacks as well, and we'll get to those drawbacks in the next clip. Now, long runs are effective because they are a stressful event. And as runners, when we expose ourselves to levels of stress, we can then recover, adapt, and improve. But there's a tricky thing about stress. We have to expose ourselves just to the right amount, just a little bit beyond what we're used to. If we go too far, well, the whole house of cards tumbles and we implode with a loss of speed, with a loss of, muscle mass, with injuries. Because if I'm going way beyond what my body can handle, well, my posture starts to break down and my mechanics really start to become an issue. And it just compounds any little asymmetry I have, imbalance I have, weakness I have when I go into those further and further miles. So this is a very powerful tool that I have to be really careful with. Now, as a good general rule of thumb to start, our long runs shouldn't consist more, say, of maybe 20 to 25% of our weekly mileage. Now, that should raise some eyebrows for some of you guys, because that means that, let's say I'm a 40-mile-a-week runner, which is running a pretty decent amount of mileage. My long run shouldn't really extend much more than 10 miles or say 10 miles on average. And the idea being that if my body can't healthfully handle 50 or 60 miles a week, I shouldn't be able to run, I shouldn't be running much more than 10 miles at a given time. Now, for some of you guys getting ready for, say, your marathon or your first half, your running mileage might not go beyond 20 or 30 miles a week, and yet you're starting to get your long runs into, say, 50% of your weekly mileage or more. And this is where we start to get a little lopsided and imbalanced in our training, and this is where we haven't developed enough yet as runners to be able to handle those long runs. So what's to be done here with these long runs? Well, it's really important to understand and know your why and your purpose for doing them in the first place, whether you are just going out because you love doing it with your friends or because you're getting ready for some specific event that potentially you haven't done before. Either way, when we get into these long runs, it's important to remember this. These long runs and the miles we run are a privilege, they're not a right. It's something that all runners have to earn the ability to do. And if you have a schedule of runs over the next couple months that's leading up to, say, your first half marathon or your third marathon, who knows, you know that you're gonna have to get yourself ready for those progressive longer runs. And that means you've also signed up for the strength work, the mobility work, and the technique work that you need to be doing on the daily and weekly basis to stay strong and connected. If you're not sure what some of those ideas might be, well, you should become a training club member, because in our programs, we walk you through exactly how to do just those things. Finally, another strategy to make these long runs go a little bit better on our bodies is to vary the surfaces that we're running on. If for someone who's constantly on pavement or concrete, can you get to a softer surface every once in a while, whether it's trails or dirt roads? Can you change the shoes you're running in? You know, some days you're running in maybe a shoe that might be a little bit more cushioned and supportive in those long runs, and then you're also running in shoes that get you a little bit lower to the ground on those other days. Can you run with different friends where some days you're pushing your speed a little bit and other days you're pulling back a little bit? That variety is really going to help you out. And finally, you can also be creative with how you break the mileage out in your week. It doesn't have to be 50% of your mileage in that one day. You could distribute that mileage throughout the week a little bit. You could even take your 16-mile run, you could run 10 miles on Saturday, and you could go and run a final 6 or 6 to 8 on Sunday to split it up in two. For those of you who are really hardcore, you could run 8 miles in the morning and 8 miles at night, just as another way to get the miles in for the day, but to do it in a way with slightly better mechanics. And I know that if I can put all of my running and training together with mechanics that are a little bit stronger and a little bit more connected, I'm going to be able to execute these long runs with fewer injuries, I'm going to recover quicker, and I'm going to come out the other end better for it. Checking the sound and making sure everything all looks good. I can't tell if this is crooked. Is this totally crooked? Often it is the run that's the marquee event. Nora, you're shaking the camera. You're shaking the camera, dog. This jerk. See how many cuts we've done? Oh, I know what Nora's been rolling in. She's been rolling in fish guts because she smells like a dirty fish. And hopefully to improve upon is it to get ready for no, not another day. Hey, I hope you got something out of this video and it helped you out. We would love to continue to work with you, and we've got a great 2-week quick start program that gives you some great running drills and strength exercises and injury prevention exercises, really to make you a better runner, which is what this whole thing is about. Of course, if you like this video, guys, give us that old like button, thumbs up down below. That helps a lot. Drop any comments or questions, future video requests, I don't know. And of course, subscribe to our channel, guys. We got new videos coming each and every week, and we want you guys to see them. I'm gonna keep filming out in this beautiful place. I'll see you guys soon.